cut. She had this brilliant mind. She'd already worked on several political campaigns by the time we got to school. She seemed to be in possession of the kind of worldly knowledge that I would only hope to attain. Zoe was sure of herself, comfortable with her sexuality, politically engaged. She even liked and got along with her parents. She was everything I imagined a cool college girl was supposed to be. And looking back, I kind of wonder if I stayed in that relationship to be closer to Zoe, to remain in the orbit of someone so wholly herself. I lounged next to my girlfriend on her twin XL bed in the room that probably definitely had asbestos because those buildings were old, and stare across the room at Zoe on her own bed, listening rapturously to whatever thoughts the girl would deign to dispense. Even her half of the room was decorated in such a way to evoke deep curiosity and envy. She had Maya Angelou quotes and travel posters of places she'd been. It was envy-inducing. I desperately wanted to be her, and if I couldn't be her, then I wanted to take in anything that she would give me. The next part of my relationship with Zoe is going to sound as naive and precious and obnoxious and ridiculous as it absolutely was. We were 18 years old at a women's college. Our hubris was through the roof. But I can't tell the story honestly without it, so here we go. By November of my first year, my girlfriend and I were already on the rocks, which we met on Facebook and started dating before we met each other, which is the most women's college story I could possibly tell you. So it's not surprising there were red flags everywhere, and instead of walking away clean, we were desperate to find solutions that would fix our issues. Beside actually dealing with our own selves. Did I mention we were 18? We didn't know what we were doing. So we turned to Zoe and all of her worldly wisdom. She'd already been offering sage pieces of advice, I think mostly out of frustration that we kept fighting in her dorm room. So it seemed perfectly natural and not at all pretentious that she snag a book off of her shelf and begin reading passages to us that we thought we needed to hear. Hubris, I told you, big heads. I can see that moment so clearly. Sitting on an uncomfortable mattress, staring across the room at Zoe as she read from that dog-eared, well-worn book. I felt certain that if I could just absorb all of her wisdom, everything would be all right. I was already somewhat familiar with the book she'd chosen, as she had a poster behind her head filled with its quotes. Her reading from Tiny Beautiful Things was my introduction to Cheryl Strayed. Long before the world became enamored with her story about her trek across the Pacific Crest Trail, or Reese Witherspoon played her on the big screen. That first relationship of mine didn't last, shocker, and I haven't seen Zoe in years, but my love for Tiny Beautiful Things remains. It's a collection of essays from Strayed's time as an advice columnist for an online literary magazine, and it is as beautiful as it is heartbreaking. And I am embarrassed to admit that I too have whipped out my copy from time to time and read passages aloud to those I thought needed them. For better or for worse, I include myself in the category of people subjected to my Tiny Beautiful Things evangelism. When I am lost or uncertain, I return to Strayed's words, and I know some people say straight, but that's how I'm choosing it. So read her and choose how to say her name how you want. Sometimes even just Googling quotes of hers when I needed a quick fix. Her words contain mystical depth. Her stories exist in the marrow of my bones. It's little wonder then that I have returned to her in this season of my life, a season of profound change. It is this season that I bring to you this morning as an offering and a sign of my gratitude to y'all. There are two quotes of Strayed's that I wish to share today. The first is, "It is impossible to go on as you were before, so you must go on as you never have." The second is, "What's important is that you make the leap. Jump high and hard and with intention and heart. Pay no mind to the vision that the commission made up. It's up to you to make your life. Take what you have and stock it up. like a tower of teetering blocks. Build your dream around that. Over the last couple of years, this community has offered me a chance to stretch my prophetic voice, a chance to revel in my faith when it's felt like the rest of the world was trying to suffocate my dreams right out of me. Here, I could be reminded of my faith and my dreams, even when in all other areas of my life, I was willing to let that dream die. Choosing to go to seminary and follow a calling to ministry was easy when they were dreams that lived in my head. They become something else entirely when I've dragged them from my boundless imagination and asked them to stand on newborn legs in the harsh light of the real world. In the arms of this community, I've been able to hold on to the threads of my dreams, even when I allowed the notion that there was no room for my calling here in Waco to suffocate my dreams in all other regards. For this, I will be forever grateful to all of you. I am so excited and a little nervous to share with all of you that I have, as Strayed insists, made the leap and jumped high and hard with intention and heart. A few weeks ago, I reached out to the New England Conference of the United Methodist Church to inquire as to the process for transferring my certification as a pastor. I assumed that this would be a long and slow-moving process. Bureaucracy is bureaucracy wherever you go, after all. But I am both happy and terrified to have been wildly wrong. In the last 2 weeks, I've been through several interviews and conversations, all of which led to a job offer as the lead pastor for a small progressive church just outside of Bangor, Maine. These last few weeks have been a whirlwind of possibilities, wonder, terror, and imagination. This job offer is in many ways a reckoning, calling into question the voices in my head that tell me that my full, emotionally rich, spiritually engaged existence is an inconvenient burden reflective of an impractical and foolish dream that needed to be squashed out of me. As thrilled as I am to be moving to Maine and living out this dream, the fear I've experienced since accepting this job has brought to the fore my habit of starving my dreams of their emotional depth and nourishment. I should note that I'm not expecting this reflection to be an opportunity for y'all to emulate me or be so inspired that you'll find your own ways to go on as you never have. Rather, I've brought these emotions and my news to y'all because the space that you have created is one of safety. I knew that I could show up as I am and you'd offer me a container to hold my fears and doubts, a container that would lovingly alchemize them into something far greater. In deciding to accept this job and uproot my entire life, including my new husband, I've experienced more fear over a prolonged period than I ever have before. Every day, from 1 minute to the next, I am terrified. Yet I also feel keenly alive. Every nerve ending in my body buzzes. It's exhausting to be overwhelmed with such fear, and there's a part of me that would love to return to a state of numbness. Saying yes to Maine has been a series of deep breaths in a body that's become used to shallow sips of air. The expansion is quite painful. It's easier and fits better into what I assume the world wants of responsible adults, to remain in the shallow end of life and breathe. But I've begun to wonder, what if being responsible means not starving who I am for the person I think I'm supposed to be? These deep breaths are, I like to think, the teetering blocks that Strayed spoke of. For the first time, I'm picking them up and examining them, turning them this way and that, before I allow myself to place them, one after another, into a tower of my own creation. I am going on as I never have. Every breath, every step is new, and I thank God for Zoe and the gift she gave me by introducing me to tiny, beautiful things. The first bit of Strayed's advice that I chose, it is impossible to go on as you were before, so you must go on as you never have. I chose it to remind myself that I must accept that it is truly impossible for me to go on as I was before. The notion that I can remain as I was relies on my remaining numb. To go on as I never have is terrifying because I must be awake to the world. I must choose to have eyes wide open and allow the sensory onslaught of life to come at me as it will. Of course, I am surrounded by fear at the thought of uprooting my life, selling my home, stepping into a brand new career, and moving to a place where moose are a very real nuisance. I don't even know. Is a fence enough to keep the moose from my dog? I don't know. We'll see. But what if fear is less an indicator of a reason not to do something, and instead a glorious sign that I am going on as I never have? What if fear is the pulse of a life well lived? The other bit of advice, of Strayed's advice, I'd like to read again. What's important is that you make the leap. Jump high and hard and with intention and heart. Pay no mind to the vision that the commission made up. It's up to you to make your life. Take what you have and stack it up like a tower of teetering blocks. Build your dream around that. Dreaming my dreams has been far safer and more tame than building my dream teetering block by teetering block. To accept that this is truly up to me, it is truly up to me to make my life, is an act of wild bravery that I have had to reckon with these last few weeks. I've had to hold up a big foam middle finger to the fear that's trying to drown me out, and in the words of Strayed, run as far and as fast as I can in the direction of my best and happiest dreams, using the bridge that was built by my own desire to heal. Choosing to accept this job in Maine turns my longing to take up more space into a demand to do so. It forces my dreams out of the barn and out onto their little foal legs. I've been spun around and pushed forward to scream and holler louder and longer than the fears and doubts that surround me. This sudden whirlwind journey that I've stepped into has called into question so many of my insecurities and the self-inflicted cruelties that I've become accustomed to. It has brought me to my knees and to the brink of tears. It's made me place my own longings on one side of the scale and the fear I have of other people's opinions on the other. Every horrible, nasty thought I've had about myself. You're a flake, look at you, changing jobs again. How selfish to move away from parents that need you. What kind of aunt are you, leaving your nieces and sister for a job 1,000 miles away? You just bought that house. How financially irresponsible of you. Can't even stick it out in Waco for a few years, huh? At times, these voices and thoughts have felt like a house of mirrors. But the thing about a house of mirrors is that I can close my eyes and feel my way forward. Take each step and eventually escape the cruelty of their distorted images. So yes, I am moving to Maine. I am going to be a pastor to a community I do not yet know, a community that I pray about with wonder and curiosity. I'm going to uproot my family to start anew and see what we might find in another place. I will withstand months of snow and dozens of cultural differences and the lack of decent Mexican food, all for the chance to build my dream around what I have and who I most long to be. I will take the love and the lessons and the faith that you all have offered me and use them as the foundation as I go on as I never have before. I am blessed by this community and honored to have been a small part of your own dream-building journey. Thank you to each and every one of you for sharing of yourselves and for allowing me to do the same. Amen.